Why some docks fail in high winds and others don't. If your lake gets strong winds, your dock is under constant attack, and the dock that looks strongest is often the first one to fail. Today I'm going to show you what engineers look for when designing docks for high wind areas and which docks actually survive long term. I'm PJ from Pennville Docks. Wind itself isn't usually what destroys a dock. The real damage comes from wave energy generated by sustained wind over open water. Engineers call this fetch. The longer the fetch distance, the larger the waves can become. On large lakes, even moderate winds can generate enormous force against a dock structure. And unlike a single storm impact, wind-driven waves create repeated loading over thousands of cycles. That repeated movement slowly weakens connections, hardware, welds, piling brackets, and anchoring systems. Fixed docks can perform extremely well in high wind areas if they're engineered correctly. The problem is that many residential fixed docks are designed too rigidly. A completely rigid structure transfers wave energy directly into pilings, frame joints, brackets, and decking connections. That creates stress connection. Waves exert horizontal force on the dock, pushing against the structure. Connections and joints experience high stress, leading to cracks and structural damage. Repeated wave impact can cause cracking, loosening of hardware, and reduced lifespan. Well-designed fixed docks use cross-bracing, lateral restraint, proper embedment depth, engineered pile spacing, and controlled flexibility. Diagonal cross-bracing in both directions resists lateral loads and maintains alignment. The high-strength lateral restraint system prevents side-to-side movement and controls rotation. Proper embedment depth means the piles are embedded below the active depth of wave and ice forces for maximum holding capacity. Engineered pile spacings limits deflection, distributes loads uniformly, and prevents structural overstress. After repeated moderate chop storms in the same location, same conditions, these two docks have very different results. The poorly braced dock on the left has cumulative damage from many storms, increasing risk and a shorter lifespan. There is greater dock movement with every storm. More damage means more maintenance and higher costs. The shorter the lifespan, there is the higher risk of failure. The potential for sudden catastrophic failure is there. The engineered dock on the right suffers minimal damage, showed maximum performance, and has a longer lifespan. There is minimal movement and stress during the storms. This results in lower maintenance and lower long-term costs. The longer lifespan also has greater reliability. This dock is built to withstand years of repeated storms. A comparison of moderate storm damage shows the poorly braced dock on the left had a higher risk of failure due to greater movement, so more damage, shorter lifespan, and a high risk to people, property, and investment. On the right, the engineered dock had stronger connections, so less movement and is built to last. This design protects your dock, your property, and your investment. This shows a floating dock system failure during high winds when the anchoring system was compromised. It caused uncontrolled rotation and lateral drift. The dock integrity was compromised also due to uncontrolled movement, which increased the risk of structural damage, collision, and total system failure. Floating docks behave very differently. Instead of resisting wave motion, they move with the water. This reduces stress on the structure and connections. The balanced anchor tension maintains stability and holding power. The design allows the dock to adapt with the waves, not against them. The overall performance is reliable, stable, safe, and secure in all water conditions. This can dramatically reduce stress concentrations, but floating docks introduce another engineering challenge: anchoring. Many dock failures happen because the dock survives, but the anchoring system doesn't. In high wind areas, anchoring often matters more than the dock itself. A screw anchor is best for soft to medium lake beds, organic soil, sand, silt. It is ideal for seasonal or lightweight docks. It is easy to install and remove. The deadweight anchor is best for rocky, hard, or uneven lake beds where penetration is limited. It uses weight for holding power and is ideal for long-term or heavy docks. The pile system is best for deep water or poor holding conditions, mud, weed, slope. It provides vertical holding in poor soils and is highly stable and long-lasting. It is very important that your lake bed conditions, water depth, and dock type are evaluated to select the most effective floating dock anchor system. Many dock failures happen because the dock survives, but the anchoring system doesn't. This diagram shows a fixed dock with undersized pilings. There can be increased lateral movement, inadequate pile capacity, excessive deflection, reduced stability, and excessive connection loads. These fixed dock failures are due to insufficient embedment depth, which leads to instability and structural failure. This dock experiences excessive sway, drift, and rotation. The piles are embedded too shallow to develop required resistance. There is a high risk of the pile pulling out, bending, or breaking. There's a loss of stability because the shallow embedment cannot resist lateral uplift and overturning forces. Connections and framing force beyond design limits, meaning there is an increased risk of loosening and hardware failure. Piles may pull out or break. The dock may collapse or separate from connections. It is a safety hazard for users and property. This dock is failing because of rusted hardware. Corrosion weakens connections and leads to structural failure. Rusted bolts, brackets, and fasteners reduce connection strength. Corrosion thins and weakens hardware components. Failed or weakened hardware leads to instability. The deck experiences excessive sway, rotation, and drift. It is unable to resist lateral and uplift forces. These connections may fail suddenly without warning. The dock may collapse or separate from piles. This dock failure is a lack of flexibility due to rigid framing which leads to structural failure under wave and wind loads. Strong winds and waves generate high side-to-side lateral forces. The rigid framing cannot deflect or adapt to these forces. Bolts and brackets are overstressed and fail. The right framing causes cracking, tearing, and separation. Dock sections collapse or become unstable. Since the rigid connections prevent movement, forces build up in the framing and connections. The dock may collapse or break apart under continued loading. Floating docks can fail due to inadequate anchoring, which leads to excessive movement, damage, and potential failure. Constant motion due to storm wind and waves causes stress on connections and components. If the anchors are undersized or improperly installed, they will be unable to resist wind and wave loads. The mooring lines become taut and overstressed, causing increased risk of line failure. The dock may collide with other structures or the shoreline. Repeated impacts cause damage to the floating dock and attachments. The anchors may drag, break free, or pull out. The dock may break loose and drift away. Here is a properly engineered anchoring system. It distributes the load across multiple directions instead of concentrating force into one connection point. So which dock is best for high wind areas? The answer, it depends on water depth, wave exposure, water level fluctuation, shoreline geometry, soil conditions, fetch distance, and boat traffic. But generally, fixed docks often perform best in moderate water depth, stable water levels, and properly engineered piling systems. Floating docks often perform best in fluctuating water levels, deep water, large fetch exposure, and areas with significant wave energy. So the biggest homeowners make is choosing based only on appearance, underestimating the wave forces, ignoring anchoring design, using undersized hardware, failing to account for fatigue loading, building too rigidly, and not engineering for worst-case conditions. If you own lakefront property in a windy area, your dock is a structural system, not just a platform over water. Understanding how wind forces affect the dock design can save you enormous repair costs later. So in the comments section, would you let me know what type of lake you live on? Calm water, rough water, or major wind exposure? I'd love to hear what kind of dock challenges you're dealing with. And if you'd like a blog of this video with all the pictures or a copy of the dock inspection checklist, please email me at the email on the sign. And the name of this video is Why Some Docks Fail in High Winds and Others Don't. So please like, subscribe, and leave a comment.